रेकॉर्ड करायचं विसरलं. Okay. Now consider that in a first year you have total 10 subject. Okay, so for that 10 subject, if we want to enter the marks for 10 subject, and we have to display the total of a 10 subject. So without an array, what happens? 10 times we have to write the cout statements, 10 times we have to read the 10 subject marks, and then we have to calculate the total. So here what happens, with the help of array, by using a single entity we can keep the 10 subject marks within the single entity. So that single entity should be called as a array. Array मध्ये काय असते, जर समजा तुम्ही एकदा array ची साईज जी डिफाइन केली, जेवढी साईज डिफाइन केली मॅक्सिमम तेवढे एलिमेंट काय करू शकतो आपण, पुटअप करू शकतो. सो दॅट विदिन सिंगल एंटिटी we can keep all the marks, that is all the records of that particular candidate having the similar data types. Okay, so the number of line of code should be reduced with the help of array. So how array should be declared within a class? So for that we are going to see one example. So the screen is visible to all of you? Screen
Yes,
visible होता है क्या? Whether that screen is visible to all of you?
Yes, sir.
Whether screen is visible to all of you? Is it audible or not?
Yes, sir.
Hello?
Yes, sir.
Hello? Is it audible or not?
Yes, sir. Audible.
Sachin Todkari,
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
screen दिसतंय ना?
हाँ sir.
Okay, so we know that our program is always starts with the header files. Okay, so which header files are required for input and output operation? Hash include iostream.h. Okay, strea iostream. Okay, then after that we are going to write the statement using namespace std. So why we are going to put this statement? If we are not going to write this statement, so before cout and cin statement we have to write std and scope operator. So to avoid this we are going to write using namespace std. Is it clear? Now consider that one student is there and we have to enter the 5 subject mark of that student. So to enter the marks, so first of all we are going to create the class, that is class student. Okay, we know that every student has a roll number, so I will put integer as a roll number. Okay, now every student has a name and name is a character data type, so I will write here integer name. So now see here we have to enter the subject marks. Okay, so how many subject marks that we have to enter? So define here subject. Okay, किती सब्जेक्टचे मार्क एंटर करायचे आहेत? कन्सिडर करा 5 सब्जेक्टचे मार्क एंटर करायचे आहेत. तर 5 सब्जेक्ट साठी मी काय केलंय, एक सब्जेक्ट नावाचा ऍरे घेतलाय आणि त्याच्यामध्ये त्याची व्हॅल्यू किती दिली आहे 5 मीन्स वी कॅन एंटर द मॅक्झिमम ऑफ 5 सब्जेक्ट मार्क ओके so now that portion we are declaring in a private member of a class it means that that roll number subject and name it should be accessible within the that private portion of a class now for entering the marks for entering the marks we have going to define one function that is void uh, enter mark function okay एंटर मार्क आपल्याला काय करायचं सुरुवातीला मार्क एंटर करायचे आहेत ओके नाउ टू प्रिंट दी टोटल we are going to define one function that is total function so that total function is used to print the total of that all the marks okay so now here close the class या ठिकाणी काय केलं क्लास आपण काय केलं क्लोज केलं या ठिकाणी फंक्शन डिक्लेअर केलेत अँड आफ्टर डिक्लेअरिंग द फंक्शन वी आर गोइंग टू क्लोज द क्लास सो नाउ सी हियर now we have to enter the mark so for entering the marks we have defined one function that is void enter mark okay so we are going to enter the mark of a particular subject or we are going to enter the mark for that 5 subject that we are going to enter outside the class so to access the function outside the class the syntax for that first of all write the data type of a function the data type of a function is void okay now enter mark is the member of class student so right here class name that is student okay and after that put scope operator so see here if the function that should be present within a class if we have to access that function outside the class at that time the syntax is first of all data type of a function then see that particular function uh, belonging to which class so enter mark function will belongs to student class so we are right here class name then we are going to put here scope operator and then write the name of the class so enter mark so write the name of the function that is enter mark आता काय करायचे आपल्याला 5 सब्जेक्टचे मार्क्स एंटर करायचे आहेत ओके so for entering the marks we are going to use cout statement so cout enter the marks for 5 subject enter marks enter marks enter marks for 5 subject ओके 5 सब्जेक्ट मार्क काय करायचे आपल्याला एंटर करायचे आहेत मार्क फॉर 5 सब्जेक्ट और वी कैन सिंपली राइट हियर एंटर रोल नंबर अँड कारण प्रत्येक मुलाला आपण काय दिलाय रोल नंबर पण दिलाय ना सो इन अ फर्स्ट लाइन आई एम गोइंग टू राइट एंटर रोल नंबर अँड मार्क्स फॉर 5 सब्जेक्ट नाउ इन अ सी इन स्टेटमेंट first of all read the roll number of that particular student okay now read the name of that particular student so now up till now we are going to create one function that is enter mark and in that enter mark function we are going to enter the roll number and marks for the 5 subjects and we are going to read the roll number and name okay now sorry instead of marks we have to enter the roll number and name of student sorry it is my mistake first of all name of students okay so here in a first line we have written that we are going to enter the name of student we are going to enter roll number and name of student so for that I am going to show you so see here okay just एक सॅम्पल दाखवतो मी. रोल नंबर, आफ्टर दॅट नेम, आफ्टर दॅट subject 1. Okay, subject 1, subject 2, subject 3, subject 4 and subject 5. Okay, so now see here, आतापर्यंत आपण काय केलंय, एक एंटर मार्क फंक्शन काय केलं, डिफाईन केलंय. बरोबर आहे. एंटर मार्क फंक्शन डिफाईन केल्यानंतर आपण एक सी आउट स्टेटमेंट पुटअप केलाय. त्याच्यामध्ये काय लिहिलंय, एंटर रोल नंबर अँड नेम ऑफ द स्टुडंट्स. सो व्हॉट एव्हर मे बी द रोल नंबर अँड name of that particular candidate that we are going to enter, that value should be read by the C in statement. So या ठिकाणी कन्सिडर करा की मी मुलाचा रोल नंबर किती लिहिलाय, 1. ओके, and name of the student consider that is साहिल. एवढी इन्फॉर्मेशन काय केली आपण, एंटर केली आहे. रोल नंबर 1 and name of the student is साहिल. Now we have to enter the marks for 5 subject. Okay, to enter the marks for 5 subject, again write down the cout statement. In that cout statement, write down enter marks for 5 subject. 5 subject मार्क काय करायचे आहेत आपल्याला, एंटर करायचे आहेत. ओके, नाउ एंटर the marks for 5 subject. Now we know that the marks for 5 subject, for that to enter the marks for 5 subject, we are going to use here subject in square bracket 5, that is nothing but array. And to read the marks from array, that for that we are going to use the for loop. Okay, means for loop मध्ये कसं होईल, फॉर लूप मध्ये कसं होईल बघा, या ठिकाणी 5 सब्जेक्ट साठी आपण काय केलंय, हे डिफाईन केलंय. जर समजा पहिल्या सब्जेक्ट मध्ये 50 मार्क आहे, दुसऱ्या सब्जेक्ट मध्ये 60, तिसऱ्या सब्जेक्ट मध्ये 70, चौथ्यामध्ये 80, पाचव्यामध्ये 90, असे 5 सब्जेक्टचे मार्क्स आहेत आपल्याकडे. बरोबर, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90 and 20. So we know that the elements of array are stored in a consecutive location and the starting index of an array is 0. So at 0 location 50 marks are stored, at 1 location 60 marks are stored, at second location, at 2 location 70 marks are stored, at 3 location 80, and at 4th location 90 marks are stored, because the array of an index is always starts from 0. So I will put here index also, so it should be helpful to you. 1, 3 and 4. So at index 0 50 are stored, at index 1 60 is stored, at index 2 70 is stored, at index 3 80 is stored, at index 4 90 is stored. And we know that in an array the elements are stored in a consecutive manner. Okay, so as in a previous lecture I told you, to read anything from the array, always we are going to use the for loop. So here we have to read the marks from array. So for that I am going to write here for loop for integer I. So we know that the index of an array is always starts with 0. Okay, so I is always starts with 0. Then the value of I is less than 5, because the maximum size of the array should be 5, and then increase the value of I by 1. Okay, so after entering this we have to read the marks from array. So for reading purpose we are always use cin statement. So in a cin, so see here for write the array name. Okay, so array name is subject, so it is subject of I. subject of I चं meaning काय होईल when the value of I is 0. तो subject of 0 वर कुठले मार्क्स आहेत, subject of 0 is 50. Okay, then again value of I is going to increase by 1, so then the value of I will become 1. So I is less than 5, condition is true. Again at location 1, that is subject of 1, at subject of 1 which marks are stored, 60. Again it should be read by the compiler. Okay, now again the value of I should be incremented by 1, so now the value of I will become 2. 2 is less than 5, condition is true. So again that value of I will become 2, so subject of 2, at 2 location which value should be there, 70 should be there. Again that 70 should be read by the compiler. Okay, now in this manner the values in that array should be read by the cin statement, and that value should be stored within the array. Okay, so up till now we are going to read the all the values from the array. So now I'm going to close this function. I'm going to close this function. So after reading the value, I have to calculate the total. Okay, so for calculating the total, again define one function, that is total function. So we are going to define here total function, and total function is a member of student class. So if we are going to declare that particular function outside the class, at that time we are going to use data type of a function, then name of the class, then after that we are going to use scope operator, and then write the function name total. Okay, now initially specify one integer variable, that is total. Okay, and the value of that total initially keep as a 0. If I am not keeping the value of total as a 0 initially, so it will take sometimes garbage value, so that's why I keep the value of total as a 0. Okay, so for calculating the total, again use for loop, because we have to take one by one value from the array, because we have to take one by one value from the array. So for that, for taking the value from array, I am going to use again for loop. So integer I equal to 0, I is less than 5, because the maximum number of elements that we are going to put here 5. Again I plus plus. Okay, now calculate the total. So total equals to total plus subject of I. So why I am writing this? So see here, I am telling you why I am writing this. So total equal to subject of I. It means that, so see here, at location 0, what value is there? At location 0, 50 is there. Okay, so at location 0, 50 should be keep here. Subject of 0, that is subject of 0 ची value किती आहे 50, total ची value किती आहे 0. 0 plus 50, that is 50. That 50 is stored in a here total. When again the value of I is going to increase by 1, so value of I will become 1. Okay, so at subject of 1 ची value किती आहे 60. Okay, subject of 1 ची value किती आहे 60. Total ची value किती होती आधी 50. 50 plus 60, 110. So in this way the value is going to added, and that result is going to stored in a total. Okay, and now we have to print the total. So for printing purpose, write down cout statement, and in that cout statement write down total, and total equals to, okay, and total is stored in a total variable. Okay, now that particular function is closed. Now call the main function. So integer main, write down first of all class name student, consider that yes. Okay, student का है yes है, yes student is there. Now call that function with the help of dot operator. So s dot enter mark, enter mark, enter mark function is there, semicolon, s dot. Now second is s dot total function is there, total. So with the help of that total function, we are going to print the total, and then after that we are going to return the values. Okay, so return 0. So this is the program to enter the marks for 5 subject for one student. If we are going to execute this program, so what will happen? Just enter roll number, name of the student, enter marks for 5 subjects. Some programming is executed, but something wrong should be there. And L. Now if I execute, we are going to run this program on another compiler, because yes, Siley, all of you should write your roll number in a chat box. Server problem is there. Enter roll number and name of the student. If I enter roll number 1 and name is Sahil, okay. Arey yaar. Server problem, net issue is there. Sahil, okay. Now enter the marks for 5 subject. If I enter 50, 60, 70, 80 and 90, so it will display the total, that is 270. So our program should be like that. Means we are do one simple program. One student is there, we have to enter the marks for 5 subject for that particular students. Okay, so to enter the subject, so to enter the subject's marks, so we are going to create one array, that is subject 5 within a class. Okay, so first of all we have to enter the roll number and name of that particular students. So with the help of that enter mark function, we are going to enter the roll number and name of that students. Then we have to enter the marks for 5 subjects, because to display the total we know the subject marks. Okay, so for that we are going to enter the marks for 5 subject, and for entering the marks for 5 subject within an array, we are going to always use the for loop, because the elements of array are stored in a consecutive positions. So here we are going to use for loop to enter the marks for 5 subject, and after entering the marks for 5 subjects, we are going to read that marks with the help of cin statement. Okay, now to print the total, so for printing the total we are going to define one function, that is total. So see here, total, this function is a member of student class, and we are going to call that total function outside the class. So if any function that we are going to call outside the class, at that time what happens, at that time we are going to call that function like that. First of all, write the data type of that particular function, then write the class name, means that function belonging to which class, then put the scope operator, and after scope operator write the name of the functions. Okay, so in a total function we have to calculate the total of 5 marks, but to calculate the total we have to take marks from the array. Okay, so to take a marks from the array, again we are going to declare for loop, because with the help of for loop we are going to take a marks from the consecutive locations. Okay, so at location 0 we are going to take mark first of all at location 0, then from location 1, then from location 2, then from 3, then from 4, and whatever may be the total, that total is going to add is here. Okay, now at last we are going to print the total. So the total of all 5 subjects should be print here. Okay, so this is the simple example for the assessing array as a class member, because within a class we are going to declare array here. Okay, so this is for today's lecture. So all of you should enter roll number. Those who are DSY students, please write your name. Those who are DSY student, write your name. In next lecture, we are going to start. In next lecture, we are going to start array of object. Means how array is going to call as an object. So in the next lecture that we are going to cover. So is there any doubt for today's lecture? एक सिंपल प्रोग्राम घेतला आपण, एका मुलाचे 5 सब्जेक्टचे मार्क्स एंटर करायचे आहेत. त्याच्यासाठी आपण काय केलं, 5 टाइम्स सी आउट आणि सी इन स्टेटमेंट न लिहिता एक सिंपल ॲरे डिक्लेअर केला, आणि त्या ॲरे मध्ये काय केलं, 5ही सब्जेक्टचे मार्क स्टोअर केलेत. ओके, आणि शेवटी काय केली आपण, टोटल प्रिंट केली त्याची. सो दिस इज नथिंग बट अ सिंपल एक्झाम्पल फॉर ॲरे ॲज अ क्लास मेंबर. All of you should enter your roll number, and those who are DSY, please write your name. Once again, I am telling you,